Hi, happy Thursday. It is Read Across America Day. I am thing 3. If you find my music or PE teacher, so find thing 1 and thing 2. Not able to be in class right now, but I'm going to go through my family community engagement process. So kind of want to let you know where this started. Originally, my plan was to focus on moving involvement to engagement with our families. So thinking about how could I work with families to be more engaged with the process of putting on our cultural night that we have every year. So I really wanted families to be able to share a piece of their culture with a wider school population. What I found through my family survey is not a lot of people were really excited or wanted to do this. So I had to change my thinking and kind of take a couple steps backwards and figure out what's missing from this for parents to be able to do this or families to be able to do this, and think about what can I do to help them feel more comfortable engaging in this work. So one thing that stuck out to me and where my goal I really kind of found out was then that hashtag relationship goals, like Barack and Michelle, right? Great relationships. How can the families of Madison and our teachers, our school have these hashtag relationship goals? Something that stuck out to me was some things I learned in the Beyond the Bake sale. And just this quote that when people feel like they're valued and respected, then they're more willing to collaborate. So maybe this part is missing a little bit from us. Maybe you're not feeling enough value or respect. So how can I help build this up before we move on to the collaboration? So here's a sample question from the survey that I gave to families. Once again, my goal was that they would be not just involved but engaged with this process. So I gave them a couple answers, and the question I asked was, are you interested in being a part of cultural night, and to what capacity? So where this first arrow is yes, I would like to share a piece of my culture. As you can see, that is like the smallest bar that I got. This one here says, yes, I plan on attending. So it goes back to thinking about, at Madison, we have really great involvement in our events, but how can we move from that involvement to engagement? Something's missing there. So I started to kind of work through this, figure out what could I do as the art teacher, as the arts integration specialist, to make this something that we can do, move to that engagement piece. So I asked myself this question: what can I do as just myself to make families feel more comfortable at Madison so they are ready to move that engagement part? The partnership school tenant I want to focus on is building up those relationships. I think that is the part that's really going to get us that engagement piece. Once those relationships there, we can move towards collaboration. So thinking about how can we build up those relationships with families and make them feel comfortable. This ties to the district initiative and our school initiative of cultural proficiency. Not only do I want to build up those relationships with family, but I want to make sure that we are celebrating those differences between them, and that that will help us really people feel valued here at school. So something that stuck out to me from that is anyone listening to families' dreams. And just that if we've never asked them what they want, how are we ever going to know? We can't just assume. So we do have hopes and dreams for our children, but no one has ever asked us before. So how can I create a setting where families feel really comfortable sharing these hopes and dreams with teachers? So another thing that stuck out to me that is just that valued part. When people feel valued, then they feel more connected. It feels like home. So how can we make this feel more like home? My solution for this is Clay Day Saturdays. Now this might not tackle all of it, but I think it's going to be a really good start in giving families a setting that feels accessible for them to share their thoughts, share their hopes and dreams for their children. So the plan, dun, dun, dun. I looked a lot to learning from Latino families for this part of it. We do have a large Latino population, but I think all those things that we learned in that article can really be applied to any family. So the part about parents really do care, they just need to be invited. So what is something I could do to invite the parents to feel more comfortable? And probably in a big school-wide setting of cultural night is not it. So I need to rethink what I am doing, not these big events, let's see how many people we can get, but how can we make it a really valuable? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So my first step was to invite the families, and I wanted to keep this event small. So although I'll put it out to everyone to be able to attend to this, I'm going to put a cap on the numbers. Now that doesn't mean if you didn't make it, too bad. I will continue to have these Clay Day Saturdays in rotation throughout the year. So my thought is to have those small groups, cap the number of people, so people feel more comfortable in that smaller setting. Also on Saturdays, that will give people a chance outside of the work week and school week to come and just have a relaxed way to interact with people. So that's why I put it on Saturdays. And then from this article, Learning from Latino Families, it talked about not having just like a one-time thing. How can you make this ongoing so there's actually the value in doing it? And so I want to do the Clay Day Saturdays for 4 to 6 week cycles. So each week we'd come in, we could make a project, maybe we're painting that project, and then we're moving on to something else. Through doing this, I'm hoping that our community will be increased through those building of relationships. A second thing I really want to focus on is that celebrating differences. So tying the projects we do to families' cultures. One example I was coming up with is if we're having these Clay Day Saturdays around Dia de los Muertos, so like early on in the school year, we could make sugar skulls or calaveras. So it would tie to that culture. So we have a lot of Latino families, so that might be something that they can connect with and share their own experience with this, and really have a good time making it. So another example I thought of was the Batsi bowls, and we could really work on some painting skills making these, use pinch pots, whatever it is, to make them. And then I would really love for this to move from here, me coming up with these ideas, to families giving suggestions, and we kind of learn together how we can go through this. The next thing I would like to do is to bring in some food for it. If we're going to meet on a Saturday, it's great to have food. So there's a local Mexican bakery that I'd love to go and get some sweetbread for them, and maybe coffee, whatever, so that there's also a little treat for them to enjoy. And then everything's better when you talk around a treat and some coffee, right? The next thing would be at the end of each Clay Day Saturday cycle. I want families to reflect on what they got from this. Was it worthwhile? Do you feel more connected? So I'd start off with, how's this experience made you feel more home at Madison? And what worked for you in Clay Day Saturdays? What did you like? Here's the one I really want to focus on, is having families share their traditions, celebrations, holidays that they celebrate. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm this, so I celebrate this. Just what's traditional in your house, and how can we bring that into our school? And then, are there any projects that we could do based on your culture? And what would you like to see in the future of this? So this reflection will allow me to take these and then change my practice as I move forward, and give parents a real voice and families a real voice in what they want to get out of this plan. So the resources I will need. Clay, obviously, that's an easy one. You can get that from Central Stores. We'll just need to think about what budget that's coming from. I would also like to partner with the Northside Library to have books related to either the culture, the tradition, the holiday that we are focused on, to allow some of that literacy to get in there, and hopefully make a connection with Northside Library with our families and the library. And then, of course, the sweetbread. All right, so partners and resources. So the people that would need to be involved with this, I would love to have our bilingual outreach worker. He already does a lot with our families, so having them there, I'm hoping, would make it a little bit more comfortable for some of those families he already works with to come into this and to attend and to share. Depending on what other languages we get, we might need another interpreter. The families will obviously be there, and then me. And then I guess whoever else wants to volunteer at the school to come to these, because it'll be a fun time. Our community partners around, Northside Library, I'm also thinking about talking to them about putting some of this artwork on display. So families could have their things up at the library, which would make them more likely to go there to see it, and hopefully have them build a relationship with the library also. So using those community partners along with their families, along with Madison, to make this really strong connection. And then the Mexican bakery, hopefully to, you know, have some delicious treats and support our local businesses. So sustainability and growth, because I'm going to have this be an ongoing thing. So maybe every trimester we go through one of these 4 to 6 weeks, and then we start a new one after that. So maybe 3 times a year. But ideas for this to go beyond just this one-time thing, really make it sustainable, because we really want to turn those relationships into partnerships and not just let it stay stagnant. Having 3 rounds per year for this, so giving multiple families an opportunity to enjoy this and build up those relationships is really going to help us work on those partnerships and really give families a voice in our school. Another idea I had, it was like invite another family. So maybe we've got some low attendance, so you've attended a couple of Clay Day Saturdays. Is there a family you know that also has children at Madison that you could invite and bring with you? And hopefully having that friend will make people feel more comfortable. And then creating a new focus. So maybe the music teacher wants to get involved, and instead of doing Clay Day Saturdays, maybe we do Dance Day Saturdays, and we learn a new cultural dance each time, and we can have a little dance social. Or maybe it's an instrument, and we create the instrument and then learn a song to play it. Maybe it's a complete like literacy focus, and we want to get on that. So tying those things together and making it something where, oh, I've done it once, now I don't really want to go back. There's multiple ways to do it. And then the biggest thing is really using those reflections I get from families to change the program. What can I do to make it better? Because the goal is not for me to just do the same thing. The goal is to have families really have that input and let them have a voice. So this is my plan for my community engagement partnership. Clay Day Saturdays, hoping to start next year on this at the beginning of the school year. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be fun, and take our involvement and turn it into engagement. Really give families a setting that is comfortable enough for them to really share what they want to get from Madison. So thanks for watching. I'll send you this too so you can look through it also. Bye!